Abby and Kat were born in 1997 and became best friends when they were 6. Grew up together and started a band and bonded over music ever since. 20 years later, they are all grown up and spend their free time analyzing lyrics. Now here they are talking all about their Lord and Savior, Dr. Taylor Allison Swift. Taylor, if you're listening, we love you.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Swiftlore Podcast, where we dive in the lyrics and lore of our Lord and Savior, Dr. Taylor Allison Swift.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Sorry.
Come on.
Absolutely. That is why we are here.
I'm Abby.
I'm filled with feminine rage.
So that's me. I'm just kidding. I'm Kat.
And I'm Abby.
And we're here and we're full of rage.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about today.
Today, Female Rage the Musical, as Taylor Swift called the Torture Poets Department.
So I am covering Mad Woman.
And I'm covering Cassandra.
Amazing.
And you might be saying, Kat, why didn't you do Who's Afraid of Little Old Me if it's a female rage episode? To which I say, that's a great point.
You know why you didn't do it is because today when I was looking at Mad Woman, so many people on TikTok have mashed it up with Cassandra.
That makes so much sense because it's the same vibes.
So I have this theory that because Taylor Swift listens to our podcast, one day she's going to mash these two together, and it's because she watched our podcast.
And not because of the mashups on TikTok.
No, absolutely not.
It's because of us.
It's 'cause
and then
of us.
before she starts playing, it's going to be a guitar mashup. So she'll do the speech before and she'll be like, this one's for Swiftlore Podcast. I didn't give them any free tickets to the tour, but you know what? It's for them.
She didn't give us tickets to support our feminine rage.
Yes, she was like, you know what? I want you to be really mad about capitalism, which is a game that I'm winning at.
But also I'll throw you a little bone.
A light bone.
A light bone? Anyway, that'll always make Kat laugh. That's just what I
Any
needed
Brooklyn
to do.
Nine-Nine joke will always make me laugh.
Oh, what a good show. All right. Mad Woman. Alrighty. Mad Woman is the 12th track on Taylor's 8th album, Folklore, released July 24th, 2020. It was written by Taylor and Aaron Dessner and produced by Aaron.
Oh, shit. Same with my song.
Oh, shit. This song was confirmed through social media on July 23rd, 2020, because remember when she only gave us like a day to prepare for Folklore?
I just like blacked it all
It
out.
was a wild thing that she did.
She really, yeah. This is also like right before my last like finals in grad school. Because I finished grad school like the first week of August in 2020.
Right. I did a little like social media detox, and when I came back, we had Folklore.
Damn.
It was wild. And it was like a 24-hour detox. Like it wasn't that crazy. And then boom, new album. And I've never been the same.
And here we are.
Here we are. The lore goes that Aaron sent Taylor the piano part of the song, and she was immediately like, this has to be about female rage. And then she thought about the most rage-provoking part about being a woman, the gaslighting when a woman responds to toxic male behavior. Mm-hmm. Which, honestly, I feel like a lot of her songs are about that, and we talk about it quite a bit on this podcast.
Yeah.
In the Long Pond studio session, there's a quote from her. She said, I was thinking the most rage-provoking element of being female is the gaslighting. There have been instances of this recently with someone who is very guilty of this in my life, and it's a person who tries to make me feel like I'm the offender by having any kind of offense. I feel like I have no right to respond, or I'm crazy, or I'm angry. How do I say why this feels so bad? A lot of people think that the song is about Scooter Braun. There was a lot on the internet with comparisons to Scooter Braun. I'm going to say that now.
Same with my song.
I bet. I mean, that's like a very public way that she was wronged.
Yeah,
that
and
she's
by
confirmed.
a man, and like in a way that it felt a little misogynistic.
Right, exactly. So that's the main theory, but honestly, this is something that I feel like every woman can relate to.
Once again, this song is actually about me.
Actually, it is about me. That's actually my personal connection. Yikes.
Another thing, did you mention like the Golden Globes this year?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that was a big Mad Woman moment where whatever his name, irrelevant celebrity that only got the gig because nobody else wanted to do it. That was like, oh, the difference between the bull the Super One, and the Golden Globes that we showed Taylor Swift last, and then she like didn't laugh, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, she's such a bad sport. She didn't laugh." And it's like the joke wasn't funny.
Right.
The joke was not funny. Why would she laugh?
And also, oh gosh, those award shows
Like
are so
the
rigged.
idea that like you're supposed to laugh at every bad joke made at your expense because like that's what good like that's a greater woman would laugh at your shitty joke.
Exactly. And it's also, and she talks about this in the song, like she's not laughing because he's literally making fun of her and poking fun at her.
Yeah.
But now she's the bad guy
Yes.
for not laughing.
And like
Ugh.
it's so not difficult to make jokes about Taylor Swift that aren't at her expense. Like at the Grammys when Trevor Noah was like, "Oh, thanks for your song Anti-Hero. My auntie is also a hero." Like that's that's funny.
That's wholesome.
And like, you know, you can make funny jokes without being a misogynistic douchebag.
Absolutely. And you can
breaking news.
You can make jokes about Taylor Swift without being, you know, yeah.
We make jokes about
All
Taylor
the
Swift all the time.
Like obviously it's possible. Oh man. All right. Wikipedia described this song being about a misfit widow getting gleeful revenge on the town that cast her out. Which I suppose it could be, but upon reading the lyrics, I was like, yeah,
It's another Beth.
could be. It's another Beth. Oh gosh. In our in my birthday episode, we talked about how Wikipedia misquoted a lyric from Ed's song and said it was about a woman named Beth, which it's not.
The lyric was in the moment Jesus Christ. In the moment I knew you best. And they were like, "I knew you, Beth."
I knew you, Beth. That's my favorite thing I think that's ever happened. That was so funny. They also said it was about his mom. Anyway, go watch that episode. It's pretty funny. Some media publications drew parallels between this song and the character, if I pronounce this wrong, I'm so sorry, Game of Thrones people, Daenerys Targaryen.
I didn't watch Game of Thrones.
Okay, I've actually never seen an episode.
Nor have I.
Wow.
I just like heard the list of trigger warnings and went, not for me.
No, that's exactly right. Like I said, that's not the type of content that I feel like watching.
Shakespeare.
Spear
is also full of female rage.
Yes. Anyway, so media publications sort of associated this song with that character. I don't know what that means, but they said she's a powerful female character who goes quote unquote crazy for the throne.
I was just about to be like, all I know is what happens in the finale, and then I'm like, is that a spoiler? I mean, it's been out for so long.
No one likes the last season. That's one thing that I know.
Yeah,
Everyone thinks
because
that
also
that's
like one of her characters, one of the ones that they apparently just like really fucked up at the end.
Well, I'll never watch it, and I'm sorry, Game of Thrones fans. I know that it's a very beloved show, at least those first however many seasons, but not for me or Kat. This is the first song of Taylor's to include the F word. Whoa.
The fuck word. Does that mean you're gonna say fuck?
Well, you know my rule. I'll say it once. I might say it twice because I'll forget. We'll see.
I'll only try to say it once.
I'll do my best. All right. So this was performed as a surprise song on the Eras Tour in Tampa, Florida, April 15th, 2023, accompanied by Aaron Dessner.
Florida.
Bum, 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 bum.
One hell of a mad woman. that's the mashup that Taylor is gonna drop when she plays in Florida again.
Anyway, as a mad woman, I feel seen. There you go. Lyrical analysis. The first verse starts with, "What did you think I'd say to that?" You know what? I will bring up Scooter one more time because this quote was there. I actually didn't know this lore. Apparently, Scooter wanted Taylor to sign an NDA that she would say nothing about him unless it was positive. And she was like, no.
Literally, why would I do that?
She denied it and she didn't do that. But she was quoted, "I would have to sign a document that would silence me forever before I could even have a chance to bid on my own work." And it's like, what do you think? What did you think I'd say to that? Is she supposed to just go, okay?
Yeah, because that's what men in power want, is for women
Right.
to just go with whatever they want. They don't want them to have their own desires or opinions.
Right, exactly. Anyway, that really set my heart ablaze. I just got really angry just reading that because I didn't know that.
And I just feel like that line is just so, like, there's so many situations that I can think of that are just like, what did you think my response was going to be?
Right.
Like, why would you say that and think that I was going to be okay with you saying that to me?
Exactly.
Like, the disrespect that women are expected to tolerate is fucking insane.
It really is. And that's, And it's something we all experience where it's just like, I literally cannot believe that you just said that to me and expected me to just take it.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're trained to kind of do that. We're trained to, we are trained to take it.
Yeah.
That's changing now, which we love.
We do.
Does a scorpion sting when fighting back? There is a piece that Taylor wrote for Elle magazine in March 2018 called 30 Things I Learned Before Turning 30. She said, grow a backbone, trust your gut, and know when to strike back. Be like a snake. Only bite if someone steps on you. So
Fair enough.
There you go. They strike to kill, and you know I will. So first of all, my words shoot to kill, and I'm mad from This Is Me Trying. But also she's basically saying, you messed with me. That's literally your mistake. You know how much power I have. You know how, quote unquote, crazy I am. Like, did you think I would just sit back and not do anything about this?
Yeah, and it's like people get mad when they antagonize you and then villainize you for standing up for yourself. And it's like seen as you being the one like, oh, you're blowing this out of proportion. Like, oh, it was just a joke, or like you're just supposed to go along with it. Like you weren't supposed to react like this. And it's like, okay, but I'm like a sentient human being, so I can react however the fuck I want.
Yeah, it just really sucks because someone like disrespects you and then you respond and are like, hey, that was disrespectful. And it's like, oh, you can't take a joke. Shut up.
Literally.
Wow, I have more rage in me.
It's like, no, I can take a joke, but that wasn't a joke.
It was just mean.
Jokes are funny.
Yeah. What do you sing on your drive home? I love this sassy little comment here. She's like, you're gonna try. You can't remove me from this planet. I got so like I.
You will never get away from the sound of the woman who loved you.
Yes. Ugh.
I listened to Silver Springs on repeat earlier.
Fleetwood Mac. Maybe we should do Rumors for one birthday episode.
Oh my God.
That would be so much. But it's literally like, she's everywhere. Her songs are fire. What are you going to do? Never walk into a Macy's? Never turn on the radio?
Never walk into a Macy's.
She's everywhere.
Yeah, like literally, what are you going to do? Never encounter another teenage girl in your life?
Right, exactly. Literally.
You're never going to talk to me again? Wow.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Men in my life love to bring up Taylor Swift to shit on her and then expect me to not get mad about it.
Or and they do it so that you will get mad.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, let's talk about something else. And they're like, no, and I'm just like, okay, then I'm going to insult something you like. And then I do that. And then they get so mad. And I'm like, you see how that's not a fun thing to be talking about?
Right. It's...
I hate men.
The audacity. But I also compared this to when you can't sleep at night, you hear my stolen lullabies from My Tears Ricochet.
Yes.
Do you see my face in the neighbor's lawn? I just compared this to like all the songs where she talks about the other person. Do you think about me? Like, I bet you think about me. There are other songs where she's like, I bet you think about me. I bet you dream about me. And this is kind of similar in that. Or does she smile, or does she mouth, fuck you forever?
It's so good. Like, do you see my face on your neighbor's lawn? And like, what face do you see?
Right. And I love how it's black and white. It's like, does she smile or does she curse you out? Like, there's no middle ground. It's like she's either this demure, innocent little woman who just takes it and doesn't say anything, or she's this monster that curses you out and says something really crass, you know?
And I think it's interesting because a lot of times, like, when women turn and like start fighting back, people are like, wow, like, I didn't know you were so upset. Like, you weren't showing that you were so upset. It's like, yeah, because I'm not supposed to show that I'm upset.
Right.
So I was smiling until I couldn't fucking smile anymore. And now I'm going to say fuck you forever.
It's also really interesting because Taylor was known to be America's sweetheart for a really long time. And this was her first time where she was just like, actually, boom.
Big ol' fuck you.
I did stick up my middle finger for those who aren't watching this.
That's like half a fuck.
1.5. It's still fine. We're still PG-13 people.
We'll round down.
Anyway.
1.25.
The other thing, I might have to say it again.
Do
Because
it.
the first time I heard this song, okay, it sounds like she's saying
Mouth fuck.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok about that.
It sounds like she's saying that. Like, the first time I heard it, I was like, whoa, Taylor, holy crow. Sorry, the asexual listening to this music.
Holy crow.
Holy crow. Anyway, so there's that. In the clean version, it's I hate you forever. Which I didn't know because I never listened to the clean version.
I did not even know a clean version existed, but that makes sense.
Yeah. Pre-chorus, every time you call me crazy, I get more crazy. It's like when you're a little irritated and the guy's just like, okay, you must be on your period, or like, you're pissy. And then it's like, well, now I'm mad. Now I'm really mad. Don't you dare. If I am on my period, you got a big storm coming.
Listen, if men had to deal with periods, like, there would be so many more wars. Because the way that, like, women get cramps and are just expected to, like, go about their days, whereas, like, men get a paper cut and it's like the end of the world. Like, have you ever encountered a man who's sick and he acts like he's dying and it's like, bro, you have a cold. You have the common cold.
Yes. I also, okay, colds suck though. Sometimes they're the
but
worst.
Like,
no, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I want to make it a little less general because like not all men are like that. I just think that people who don't have uteruses can't possibly comprehend what we're just expected to tolerate for a week every month. For like,
and then the other 3
all our
weeks,
lives.
it's like there's other hormones going on. It's not just the period. Everything's fucked up all the time, and it's not studied because women are just not studied in medical trials.
No, they're not. I just learned, I saw a TikTok about it. Maybe you sent it to me. Maybe I sent it to you. And where this woman was just like, is it, and then listed a variety of conditions that can happen in the reproductive system. And then they're just like, we don't know because they don't research female bodies. Like crash test dummies are still the male body, are like,
yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And like, they only test a lot of stuff. They will only test it on men because there's too many variants for women. So it's more costly to do trials with women.
Yeah, it's just really wild. Is disparity the right word? I don't know if that's the
and
right
also
word.
the way that like a lot of doctors will be like, oh, you're having some sort of hormone perhaps problem, go on birth control.
Oh my goodness. Why is that the only treatment? I could talk about this forever, but there's so much that happens to a woman when you take hormones. There's already hormones in your body that go through certain things every month, and then you just introduce more as the treatment to everything. How does that, the math ain't mathin'.
It sure is not.
So now that we've went on a whole tangent about that, my favorite videos are the ones where they hook up men to the cramp simulators.
Oh my God, yeah. And they're all like dying. And then they put women on with the same thing. And they're just like,
That's my biggest like proof, my biggest evidence that it's just like, no, we're not kidding when we say it's horrible. I literally have bent over, like nearly passed out in a Wegmans. It's not for the weak, you know? But anyway...
Moving on.
Feminine rage.
Rage.
So every time you call me crazy, I get more crazy. What about that? Like, you wouldn't last an hour in the asylum where they raised me. And when I say I seem angry, I get more, And when you say I seem angry, I get more angry. Another quote from Taylor. When they stop coming for me, I'll stop singing about them. People go on and on about like you have to forgive and forget to move past something. No, you don't. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to forget to move on. You can move on without any of those things happening. You just become indifferent and then you move on. And I have like a little bitty soapbox about how like forgiveness is more for yourself than for the other person because it can relieve you of that stress and anger. But you don't have to forgive that person's actions, you know, or forget them.
I personally have never let anything go in my entire life. And I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I'm kidding. I let things go because I have a memory resembling a piece of Swiss cheese.
So you just forget that.
Well, the thing is, I don't forgive, but I do forget. And I don't know why I'm so mad. And then I'm just like, no, I know that I don't like that person. Just give me a minute.
Just let me think about it. I know I have my reasons, what they are.
And then like a day later, I'll be like, right, I remember. It's not a good reason, but I'm sticking to it.
Oh my goodness. And then we get to the chorus. There's nothing like a mad woman. What a shame she went mad. So mad in this case can either mean angry or crazy, which goes along with the pre-chorus. And I love that because when women are angry, they are perceived as crazy. So it's kind of one and the same. For those watching, we just had to switch cameras real quick. It's been a day, whatever. All right. For what a shame she went mad. You know what? We're going to say it again. What a shame she's fucked in the head from Champagne Problems. That's what the lyric is. That's what it is.
Yay, fuck.
Thank you. Dismissing her behavior as crazy because, as Taylor says, women can't react. They can only overreact. No one likes a mad woman. Like, you will not be liked if you express your emotions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rage.
And it also like makes me think of like no one likes a mad woman. What a shame she went mad. Of like the way that women historically have been treated if they like act out against the norm at all. Like the asylums of like the 20s and 30s where it's just like the list of things that would get women sent to an asylum. You can Google it. It's like so, it's kind of funny, but at the same time it's horrible because there was a investigative journalist woman who got herself put into an asylum to like document it.
Oh, wow.
And like she went in with one symptom that she made up and they like diagnosed her with all this other shit. And then we're doing all these like insane torturous like experiment
and
treatments on her.
Hysteria used to be a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Like the hysterical woman. There is a second half of the chorus that I only notated the second time the chorus happens, and I don't feel like switching back in my notes.
That's so real.
Hold on that. All right. Second verse. Now I breathe flames each time I talk. My cannons all firing at your yacht.
Orca solidarity.
Free Willy, am I right? Also, okay, this note, I don't know, I'm kind of proud of it. She went from fighting dragons and speak now to becoming one.
Oh, shit.
Boom.
And that also kind of lines up with the internalized misogyny to feminist pipeline.
It really does. Exactly. They say, move on, but you know I won't. So something that I already mentioned, that quote of hers, what she says, you don't have to forgive, you don't have to forget.
I stayed there.
Exactly. Time can heal, but this won't, from Bad Blood.
Mm-hmm.
And women like hunting witches too. So basically saying, this actually isn't just a male problem.
Yeah.
And it's really not. You know, Mean Girls is an excellent example.
Yeah, there are always going to be women that want to be like the ideal version of a woman for men.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they are also being oppressed by the patriarchy, and they just aren't. They think that they can get out of it by being not like other girls and being like, oh, I'm not like those annoying women who get mad when you say like misogynistic jokes to them. Like, I'm just a cool, chill girl, like the cool girl monologue from Gone Girl book versus movie.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. I can't really add to that. You're so right.
I hit the whip for the listeners.
Later in the song, she does also mention the wife as well being a part of the problem. So I'll talk more about that when we get there. Doing your dirtiest work for you. So she's taking all the criticism, even though he's the one or she's the one or whoever is the one that like threw the first punch, you know?
And then also I think of like the way that women tear each other down and how it's like a lot of times more subtle, but a lot more vicious than how men attack.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, it just sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah.
It's obvious that Wanting Me Dead has really brought you two together. The Taylor Swift is over party.
That's, yeah.
Literally, one person was just like, hey, Taylor Swift sucks. And then it just, because they had big influence, all of a sudden people are chanting, you know.
Yeah. Kim edited one single video call.
Yep.
And suddenly Taylor Swift is over party is trending on Twitter.
Exactly. And everyone just hops on that bandwagon. And we still see that now where everyone just hates Taylor for the sake of hating Taylor.
I go into that in my song a lot.
Okay.
So that's pretty much the entire.
Yeah. And it's, and we also talk about that all the time. Just like, yeah, of course she has flaws. Everyone has flaws, but people hate on her for the sake of hating on her. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Then we get that pre-chorus again, the chorus. Now we'll get to the second half because this is where I put the notes for it. So the second half of the chorus, she says, and you'll poke that bear till her claws come out. So you'll provoke the person, you'll provoke her until she breaks and becomes aggressive. She becomes like a bear, a scorpion, all these animals that she's referencing in the song, the woman now becomes, that she's now seen as for fighting back.
Mm-hmm.
And you find something to wrap your noose around. I don't know if I'm interpreting this right. Maybe you have a different interpretation, but it's like he killed her, but is making it look self-inflicted.
I like that idea. I always thought of it more as a form of execution, like hanging. So it's like he wanted to kill her, so he just found an excuse of what her crime was to justify the punishment that he wanted to give.
That also makes sense.
Could go either way.
It really could. Because I was like, I don't think I got this right, but who's to say? And there's nothing like a mad woman. All right, Bridge. I'm taking my time, because you took everything from me. She is like, you are going to get a slow, torturous death because I have nothing. What do I have to lose?
Yeah.
Also, making it hurt for them like she hurts. And I just wrote, for the people who have seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that season 6 finale.
What's this season 6?
It is Willow and Xander on the hill.
And
that's what this is reminding me of. It's a show that came out literally 27 years ago, and I'm still just like, spoilers. It's a really good scene, though. Maybe watch Buffy. Talk about feminine rage.
Yeah.
Watching you climb over people like me. She's not the first, she won't be the last. So it's just how it is.
Yeah.
The Master of Spin has a couple side flings. This could be taken a lot of ways. On Genius, they were like, Master of Spin could be spinning records, like whatever. Master of Spin. So I'm thinking like, can spin many plates at once, can juggle many things and keep them going and be manipulating several things at once.
I was thinking like you spin lies.
Yes,
like a web of
that's
lies.
Another one. So spinning something is turning bad news into something that's good or telling lies. So the Master of Spin, like the one that always gets away with things, that knows how to make everything go away, how to lie, how to manipulate, has all these side flings, has all these different things going on. He's just climbing over these other women. Good wives always know she should be mad, should be scathing like me, but no one likes a mad woman. And this is saying how women can fall into the trap of being like, if I speak out against these things, I will be cast out. And therefore, I will just tolerate them.
It's also like the idea of like knowing that your husband is cheating on you and being like, but I'm still not going to leave the marriage. Because historically, like a lot of women had to be put in that position because, I mean, like women could not get their own bank account until like the 70s. They couldn't have credit cards. They couldn't, like, it was almost impossible for women to live independently.
Yeah.
So like now women can have the freedom to leave. They don't always, obviously it's a very nuanced topic, but like, you know, like a good wife knows what their husband is doing, but doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, so that makes her complicit and that makes her part of the problem. But at the same time, she's looking out for herself. Meanwhile, Taylor has sort of embraced that she is the mad woman. She's going to be labeled that way, but she's never going to stop speaking out about it.
Yeah. And it makes me think of like that quote or just like idea where it's like the father and the daughter having this moment of like shitting on the mother/wife and like the mother wife like is looking at it knowing that her daughter is one day going to be in that same position and knowing that like,
yes,
there's nothing she can do to stop her from having that same fate.
Exactly. It's super sad and real.
Yeah.
The discussion question. What's a time you stood up for yourself and said, F the consequences?
I
don't have an answer.
I'm trying to think of ones that I'm like, this is fine to share on the internet.
Well, we don't have to share, but you can ponder it.
You can ponder it.
And that's that. That's Mad Woman.
Cassandra. Or Cassandra.
I think she sings Cassandra.
Yeah, but I like saying it Cassandra.
Okay.
So we'll just say it both ways interchangeably the whole time. And
just to make things
I'm gonna
complicated.
switch it up.
Yeah.
It's the same name. It's just a little different. So this is track 27 on the Tortured Poets Department. Was written and produced by Taylor Swift and Aaron Dessner. And Cassandra is a character from Greek mythology who was like any Greek myth, there's a bunch of different versions of it, but essentially she was gorgeous. Apollo fell in love with her, gave her the gift of prophecy, and then she rejected his like romantic advances. So he couldn't take away the gift of prophecy that he gave her, but he just added to it and gave her the curse of never being believed for her prophecies. So she was always right and she was never believed. So like in some versions she was a priestess of Apollo's, in some versions she was brought to like Apollo's temple as a child and like snakes whispered in her ears and gave her the ability to have prophecies, but in every version she rejects Apollo's advances and he curses her. So he like gave her this gift and then also made it a curse.
It's like Ella Enchanted.
It's like Ella Enchanted.
Wow.
So one of the like more famous things that she foresaw and that wasn't believed about was the Trojan horse. So like there's some versions of the myth where she literally goes and tries to burn down the Trojan horse because she's like, there's a bunch of Greeks in there, and the Trojans are like, stop trying to burn down our cool horse. And then eventually she goes on to either marry Agamemnon or becomes his like concubine, and then either way, her and Agamemnon are both murdered by his first wife, Clytemnestra. So, and she knew it was coming, and Agamemnon was just like, no, it's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. And then it did. So now Cassandra is used as a metaphor for someone who's right and isn't believed until like after the fact, and then is kind of like condemned for their foresight. The song has not been performed live yet. It's one of 3 songs off the Tortured Poets Department that hasn't been performed live yet, which is wild because that means she has performed 28 of the songs. The other 2 that she hasn't performed yet are So Long London and Florida.
Interesting.
So, my guess is she's going to play So Long London at the last London show.
I would imagine. Also,
she also hasn't played London Boy.
Interesting. Florida, I don't know if that would work for like a surprise song. I mean, I guess anything she can play on the guitar.
If she has Florence come out with like a tambourine, I think it could work. Because I think the song, like, it needs percussion.
It does. It does. Also, I think by the time this episode comes out, Sylvia is going to have seen the Eras tour.
Oh my God, I didn't know Sylvia was going to the Eras tour.
Yeah, she got tickets. I think I want to say Milan, but
one of my favorite hobbies is putting sleigh into people's names. It doesn't always work.
Slavia is kind of a sleigh.
It's kind of a sleigh. My other favorite one is our friend of the pod, Brienne's fiance, David. Whenever he does something good, I'm like, Slavid. Like he's driving us to a concert, and she was like, that way we won't have to take the bus and like Uber or whatever. And I was like, Slavid moment.
It is. Slavid.
Why say thank you when instead you could say, okay, Slavid. In terms of personal connections, I don't know. I'm always right about everything, and sometimes people don't believe me.
That's
so
true.
I get it.
I've seen it.
You've seen it.
I've seen it.
I also like specifically, and this is my discussion question, so I'll hang on to it. I'm going to write it down because I'm going to forget it if I don't. The choice to put the prophecy and then Cassandra right after it is such a strong choice because she's like, change the prophecy. And then the next song is about a person who is famous for telling prophecies that were true and then not being believed is like so interesting.
It's really interesting. I was actually going to bring that up when you said prophecy because I was like, like we just talked
exactly. Like it's such a, because also I got into Percy Jackson in like December of last year, like when the show started coming out, and I binged all of the books in Percy Jackson original 5 books, Heroes of Olympus 5 books, and then there's another spinoff called The Trials of Apollo. And I can't remember because I listened to all the audiobooks really fast because I was like moving and just like needed something to fill the brain space. So I cannot for the life of me, I'm sure that Cassandra's in it because he has to like face all of the different like oracles in every book and like save anyways. So Apollo kind of sucks, but like he's cool, he's fine. Yeah. But he's kind of a douchebag. Which I think is really interesting that's like how he's characterized a lot of times is just like, I mean, every Greek god is just like womanizer, does not like to be told no.
Yeah.
Just like men.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that's one thing that I think that's really interesting about Greek gods is that they're all flawed. Like they're these extremely powerful, but like deeply human gods. That's true. In a way that like a lot of cultures, the gods are like perfect and do no wrong. But in Greek, it was just like, yeah, this is Apollo. He makes the sun move across the sky. And also sometimes he's a douchebag. And we love that for him.
It's real, like we all know people like that.
We all do. we all know people who make the sun go and also are a little bitch. So the overall lyrical analysis, interpretation of the song, is that she tells the truth. She's not always believed, and like the scars from telling the truth and having everybody still not believe you, like those don't just go away overnight, even if public favor turns back towards you. I was in my new house placing daydreams. So famously, after the Taylor Swift is over party, the Snake Kimye scandal and stuff, she just like moved to London and just got a new place, did not see anyone from the outside world for like a full year, refused to take any phone calls, was like terrified for years of being on the phone with people because she was so paranoid that people would be recording what she said and taking it out of context. And so she's in her new house placing daydreams. Like she's in this fresh start, this unfamiliar place, but like knowing that it's home doesn't make it feel like home. And she's like placing daydreams, placing these ideas of like what she wants the new home to be around her. Patching up the crack along the wall. But even like if you're in this fresh new start, there's still going to be scars from your past, and this is kind of like a physical manifestation of it. I pass it and lose track of what I'm saying because that's where I was when I got the call. Like again, so the crack in the wall is symbolic of this like deep emotional mental scar from the past. And like also like a crack in the wall could mean that it goes all the way down to the foundation and the house is no longer stable. So it's like you're patching up the crack along the wall, but like what caused the crack? Was it an earthquake? Is it a structural damage? Like patching up the crack doesn't necessarily fix the problem.
Yeah. I'm also just thinking about cracks and things like, sorry, I'm thinking about Mean Girls. Say crack again, crack. Sorry. I got distracted.
It's fine.
But the first crack in the glass is what she chose to highlight in the All Too Well short film, like when things start to go south.
Yeah.
And the guy in that short film famously is, you know, the worst.
I like that was a Jake Peralta impression 100%. Was it not?
It kind of was. He lives in me.
Jake Peralta lives on through all of us. R.I.P. Jake Peralta. You would have loved Tortured Poets Department.
Oh,
you wouldn't have understood it at all.
Andy Samberg, come on the pod.
Andy Samberg, come on the pod. That'd be so funny. So also like the idea of like she passes this physical manifestation of like a mental scar that's where she was when she got the call, that probably has to do with the fact that she wasn't believed in what she said. You know, found out that her prophecy came true and nobody believed her, and now she couldn't stop it from happening, which also is, we've talked about with prophecies, is like part of the thing with prophecies is that trying to avoid the prophecy makes it come true.
I'm also just going to throw out there Haunting a Hill House. If you know, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in that, like, the house is trying to get them to stay by destroying itself.
Yeah.
What did you know? This house is falling apart. From Anna's Son by Walk the Moon.
We're just full of references.
We're just
today.
full of... My mind is just a lot of music references in a trench coat. And then into the pre-chorus, when the first stone's thrown, they're screaming. I will say I did think it was their screaming, like THEY''RE, and it's not. It's theirs.
Oh.
THERE''S. So it's like when the first stone's thrown, there's screaming. Like people are screaming. They're trying to figure out what's going on, and they're immediately taking a side. They're like, because people look for excuses to hate women, and especially Taylor. Like they look for these excuses to hate her and to like justify their like. One thing I don't understand is that people can just like not like something and just shut the fuck up about it. You know what I mean?
You don't
like,
have to say anything.
It's so easy in life to just shut the fuck up. And so many people don't know that. And I really think that we should all learn the lesson of shutting the fuck up sometimes.
No one has ever heard me talk about wrestling, and that's intentional.
Exactly. Like if I don't like something, I just don't talk about it. And if somebody asks my opinion on it, I just say, oh, it's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I had another thought, and then
like it takes so much energy to hate stuff, but it's just
does.
like, so when the first stone's thrown, they're like, sorry, you do yours.
No, it's just, it makes me think about, I always see these clips of stand-up comedians, and every time it's a woman, all the comments are just like, where's the joke? Or I'm trying to find the part where this is funny, or like, this is why women aren't funny.
Ugh.
It's like, Okay, so women can be funny and are funny, you know.
And also, one woman can be unfunny without every woman being unfunny.
Yes, yeah.
And also in the Bible,
You said it like
like the devil from the Bible.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible. The Bible. Speaking of wrestling,
I know, I'm like, I wish we had an air horn side effect. Sound effect. It's been a long day. So from the Bible.
The Bible is just like an air horn. Just like sirens in the distance. All right.
That's what the religious drama be doing. Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone is like, you know, the famous Bible quote. So it's like they're all throwing the first stone's thrown, everybody's screaming and trying to figure out like, oh, somebody already threw the first stone, so that means that it's open up to everybody. It also makes me think of Shirley Jackson's short story The Lottery, which if you've never read it, brutal. It's like once a year this town does a lottery and whoever's name gets chosen, they just get stoned to death as a way for the town to take out their like aggression.
Did you know Shirley Jackson's from here?
She went to University of Rochester. She's not from here, but she went to U of R.
Yeah, and I just learned that last week.
Yeah. So maybe Haunting of Hill House is based here. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
In the street, there's a raging riot. So like people are screaming and they're rioting and they're throwing stones and bombarding Taylor's comment section with the snake emoji and making hashtag Taylor Swift is over party trend on Twitter. When it's burn the bitch, they're shrieking. Like everybody is joining in on this bandwagon of hating Taylor Swift. And like this happens a lot of times with women where like one person says something bad and it's like, oh, let's all come out of the woodworks and all like say this negative shit about them. Like I think of, there's this influencer that you don't know, Lily B. Chapman. She was like, kind of got famous. She did like a lot of like thrift flips and like thrifting and sustainable fashion. And like she travels and she's like cute little, like wears silly, fun little outfits. And she had a like Reddit snark community dedicated to her that was just like extremely toxic. And it was like hundreds of people who would just like make up lies, like track down her family members, her friends. And like anytime that she did any sort of like brand collab, they would like bombard the brand with messages saying like, I hope you know you're collaborating with like a bad person and blah blah and all this stuff, and like basically tried to like destroy her life. And then she came out with like a line of like merch that was the cancel me line, and she told the entire story of like the ways that they've been like actually like straight up breaking the law, and like to the degree where she had to take like legal action, do like cease and desist against these people. And then once, and like everybody, like I'd seen the videos about Lily and I was like, I don't like the things the person was saying. I was like, I just don't feel like they're telling the truth. So like I didn't unfollow her, but I know a lot of people did, because some of the videos, because like on the snark subreddit, they would make up these lies and then they would go to TikTok and they would all be saying like, oh my God, so true. So then it seems more real because hundreds of people are agreeing with it, and they're just continually making new accounts to harass her and everything.
And the tides turn so quickly on the internet. Yeah. And people can say anything.
And then suddenly once Lily was like, here's all of the specific ways that this person has like done all this like illegal shit and like crossed so many boundaries, all this stuff. And then people are like, yeah, actually now that I look into it, like she did this to XYZ influencer too. And it's like, oh yeah, it was actually a pattern of behavior and you just believed a TikTok that you saw without looking into it at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when, you know, you don't check your sources on Wikipedia and then you think the song Tenerife Sea is about a girl named Beth, you know?
Yeah. And when the truth comes out, they're quiet.
It also, and I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but Jamila Jamil talks a lot about this, how, again, the tides turn so quickly, especially for women when they become too famous, how like Jennifer Lawrence was so cool and so popular because she's just like us. Like she seems like someone I could just relax with. She's so authentic. She's so herself. And then it was, she's trying too hard to be cool. She's trying too hard to be this character. I don't know her personally, but it was just the way that everyone suddenly
decided that they were over like, oh, she's trying so hard to be relatable. Like, oh my God, yeah, it's so cringy. She's like, I love pizza and I have an Oscar. Like, oh my God, shut up. And it's like, because she got too popular and she got too successful and people had to tear her down.
Exactly. And they did the same with Anne Hathaway. They've done the same with Taylor Swift. They've done it with, I mean, countless celebrities, specifically women.
Yeah. And one thing also that's really interesting that I've seen is like the whole Nepo baby thing. You pretty much exclusively see women being called Nepo babies and degraded for being Nepo babies.
That's so true.
Name a man who's a Nepo baby.
Jack Quaid.
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
But like if I think like Nepo baby, I'm like, oh, like Maya Hawke or like Cara Delevingne, Dakota Fanning.
Oh, no, I was going to say Johnson.
Oh, Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Fannings aren't. Whichever one is younger, I guess, is kind of like a Nepo baby. I don't know.
The whole Kardashian family.
The Kardashians as a whole, but not the man.
Not the man, not.
So, like, it's just interesting how, like, these things that are, like, reasons to hate people, like Nepo babies, it's only pretty much applied to women.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah, I saw that on TikTok, and I was like, that's so interesting because, yeah, I can't think of, like, any men who, like, have had their careers negatively impacted by being a Nepo baby.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
And then again, so when the truth comes out, it's quiet. People hate admitting that they're wrong.
Yep.
People hate saying like, oh, I messed up. I didn't have all the facts about the situation. My bad. Like, it's so easy to just be like, oh yeah, I was wrong. My biggest pet peeve in people is when they cannot admit that they are wrong about something. Like, it is such a just like red flag in every way. I'm just like, if you can't admit that you're wrong, especially when it's about small stuff where they're like, oh, it's only like a 2-block walk, and then you look it up and you're like, oh, actually it's 2 miles away, and they're just like, it had 2 in it, and I'm like, you were wrong. Just say my bad. It's so easy. Clearly I'm very mad about that. But just people never voice their support the way that they voice their hatred.
Wow. Yeah.
So the chorus, they killed Cassandra first because she feared the worst and tried to tell the town, which is like, she's having her self-insert moment here because that is not what happens in the myth at all. Like, she was not killed for trying to tell people the truth. She was killed out of some sort of jealousy or weird ex-wife, maybe current wife. Is she the mistress? Is she the second wife? Who's to say? Either way, another woman killed her.
Yeah.
Which we see the parallels between that and what happened in Taylor Swift's life. But we know Taylor also loves changing a little detail, like the dog in Last Great American Dynasty. It was actually a cat.
She's just
real life. So she's just, I mean, that's a very folklore moment.
It's a little narrative therapy because, you know, you can change little details the way you want to empower yourself in your story.
So they filled my cell with snakes. Like I said earlier, in some versions of the myth, Cassandra got her prophecy powers by sleeping in Apollo's temple and like snakes whispering in her ear. In some versions, her brother also got the gift of prophecy in the same way, but he didn't get the curse. Anyways,
and also Taylor and snakes.
Yeah, the snake emoji thing where like she reclaimed it during Reputation, and she does this a lot where like if people are like Googling, you know, like Taylor Swift snake, she made the Reputation era, so now when you Google Taylor Swift snake, it's gonna be Taylor Swift's Reputation era.
Right.
She did this recently with something else on Torture Poets, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, God, I wish I knew what it was.
Do you know if you Google song with the best lyrics ever, Hits Different comes up?
Where did that come from?
ADHD.
ADHD?
Well, because you were talking about Googling and Taylor Swift. Best lyrics of all time, Hits Different comes up.
I thought you were fucking with me.
I'm literally not.
That's
Try
like
it at
that's
home,
like
folks.
wait, Google Chapel Roan. 2 P's, 2 L's.
Did you mean your favorite artist's favorite artist?
It's that one twink at Google. To quote Chapel Roan.
Wow, that's fun. All right.
Okay, so so they filled my cell with snakes. Like Taylor was locked out of like, you know, what's the lyric from This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things. Oh no, it's from Look What You Made Me Do. Locked me out and threw a feast. So like she was telling the truth, but they still like they imprisoned her, filled her cell with snakes, which, you know, depending on what kind of snakes, could be killer, or it could just be they're all biting her. It's death by 1,000 cuts. I regret to say, do you believe me now? You know, I hate to say, but I told you so.
Another regret.
Yeah. And it's like, she didn't want to have everybody think that she was lying and then be right. Like, she told the truth. One thing about Taylor Swift that I was thinking about is, like, a lot of times she tells the truth and people decide whether or not it is the truth. Mm-hmm. But it usually comes out that she doesn't lie.
Yeah.
I just elbowed myself.
Oh no.
Verse 2, I was in my tower weaving nightmares. So in the first verse, she's placing daydreams, but now she's in the cell, this like self-imposed exile. She's like damsel in distress in a tower, and she no longer has those daydreams and that hope. So instead she's weaving nightmares. She's like making something physical out of these negative manifestations of her subconscious.
That's interesting because in the Albatross, there's that part in the verse that's like, locked me up in towers, but I visit in your dreams.
Ooh, yeah.
Interesting.
Twisting all my smiles into snarls. Yep. Women are told like, oh, be happy and smile more, like Jessica Jones. If anybody has watched that show, there's a whole thing with the mind control character, and one of the things he does, he always makes Jessica smile because she's a bitch and I love her. And she's always just like snarling and like looking angry because why not? But when being nice just gets you taken advantage of and nobody believes you, no matter how nicely you're saying things, like what's the point of continuing to smile and continuing to try to be placating and trying to be like demure and nice when it's not working? And then it's just like taking so much energy to try to be this like perfect presentable person. Instead, you're just like, I'm just gonna be what I am. Like I am what I am because you trained me. Turning all my smiles into snarls. They say what doesn't kill you makes you aware. So like obviously the actual quote is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But instead of becoming stronger, she's just aware of all of the ways that people can hurt her and destroy her without killing her. She's like, I know I can survive this, but like what's the cost? Like what happens if it becomes who you are? And like all you see in the world is the ways that people can hurt you, and everything that you do, you're paralyzed with this fear because you're like, if I do the wrong thing again, the entire world is going to turn against me and I'm going to have to go into the self-imposed exile, and you don't know if you can come back from that twice.
Yeah, which is something that happens to us all. Like we start off as a kid not realizing how bad and cruel the world can be and how people can be, and we just assume the best. And Taylor talks about this in songs. She assumed the best, and we literally see that turn probably in like Speak Now Red era, where it's all of a sudden like, oh God,
yeah,
the world is so much worse than I thought.
Yeah. And the chorus happens again, and one line is changed. It was, so they filled my cell with snakes, and now it's, so they set my life in flames. So first they filled her cell with snakes with the hashtag Taylor Swift is over party and the flooding her comment section, and then they set her life in flames, and she watched everything that she built go up in smoke. But again, same thing. I regret to say, do you believe me now? Like she's again was right about stuff and was told she wasn't.
Yeah.
And then the bridge. They knew the whole time that I was onto something. And we know Taylor loves using repetition. It's like they knew that something wasn't right about this. Like, who the fuck trusts Kim Kardashian?
Well, it's like it makes you feel crazy. Like, I know that you know I'm right.
Exactly. And it's like but people don't care if they're right. They just care that they have a justification for their hatred. Because it's just easier to believe the false narrative than to have critical thought. The family, the pure greed, like again with the Kardashians, you know, they're just known for being greedy, money hungry, will do anything to stay famous, obsessed with their own celebrity, no actual real skills or talent.
But that's also the industry. I mean, the industry's like that.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
The Christian chorus line, like throughout Tortured Poets, Taylor has a lot of things referencing the hypocritical nature of a lot of Christians and how people use like Christian ideologies to justify their hatred or their negative behaviors. And like, I was raised Catholic. Christianity is what it is. But like the way that people use like religion that is not supposed to be malicious to justify their biases and their hatred and just like pull things out of context so that to support their shitty life choices is like very common.
I also love how it's like the chorus line, because chorus lines are typically these big show-stopping numbers where everyone is all saying the same thing in unison, and it's very powerful and very bright, and it's like a crowd pleaser sort of situation.
And in Greek plays, the chorus line was like a big thing. Like it originates from Greek dramas, where like it would just be like a huge, you know, group of people in the background that would be singing the chorus and singing the songs and like talking, and then like the main act would be happening in front of them. So it's kind of like this group narration of what's happening, which kind of like the group think of how people piled onto her is also, it's a very dense song. But yeah, so the example I wrote down of her like using the negative sides of religion in a different song is like in But Daddy I Love Him, the Sarah's and Hannah's in their Sunday best, clutching their pearls, saying what a mess. Blood's thick, but nothing like a payroll.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's like the blood's thicker than water, which is the idea that like your family is more important than people who aren't related to you. But then that actual quote is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which is that your friends that you choose, or like the family that you choose, is more important than like the family that you're born into. So like both of those kind of work with a connotation, because you think about it, it's like the whole Kim Ye situation, but then also like whatever happened with her and Carly Kloss, where like after their friend breakup, she was seen with like partying with Scooter Braun. And so it's like, which way does it go? It could go either way. But like friendships have a price if they aren't genuine, but also like, you know, again with the Kardashians, like, yeah, family's what brings them together, but nothing like a payroll. Bet they never spared a prayer for my soul. So again, with hypocrisy of like these fake Christians that say like, oh my God, Taylor Swift is like, is Satan. She's this, she's that. It's like, but you are supposed to like pray for people that you think are like falling off of God's path or whatever. And it makes me think of the Mark Twain quote, but who prays for Satan? Who in 18 centuries has had the common humanity to pray for the one sinner that needed it most, our one fellow and brother who needed a friend, yet had not a single one, the one sinner among us all, who had the highest and clearest right to every Christian daily and nightly prayer, blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
So it's just like that idea. You can mark my words that I said it first. Like, she's just like, I never changed my story. I always told the truth. I didn't have to lie because I knew that I was right. In a mourning, no one heard. And it's mourning with a U, like when you're grieving and you're mourning. So it's like she's mourning and warning at the same time because she knows they're not going to believe her. So she's warning them anyways, even though she knows that it's not going to work. And so while she's giving this warning, she's also mourning the fact that nobody's going to believe her, and mourning like her career, her life as she knows it, everything is changing and like going away because nobody's believing her warning. And then there's like a little, Genius called it verse 3, but it's just like a little part of verse 1 is sung again. It's like she patched up the crack, but even healed over, she still remembers where it was, and it still affects her every time that she walks past it. And then the chorus goes again. It's back to the snakes cell line. And then there's post-chorus, which is basically just the bridge again, but with, at the end, added, no one heard, not a single word was heard. So again, like she's speaking the truth, she's talking, nobody's believing her. And then the outro is just the pre-chorus again. But then like the ending of like, it's so quiet. Like the truth comes out, it's quiet. It's so quiet. It's like, and it's like the truth comes out, you would expect that you'd feel like vindicated, but in reality she's just lost and alone because everybody believed the lie and nobody wants to admit that they're wrong and come out and publicly say like, oh, I messed up. So then she's won, but she still lost everything.
Right.
So my discussion question is, have you ever had a Cassandra moment in your own life where you were like, this is gonna not end well if we do this, and then it happens, and then you're like, I told you that this was going to happen and no one believed me?
Yes. As for specific examples, not one like springs to mind. I know it's happened on like group projects
I have a specific example that
All right.
that's what I thought of earlier, and then was like, let me write this down.
Okay.
At my last job, right before I left, they were doing this online contest, and basically the way that they set it up, I went to my boss, who just got fired because karma is new. I hated her. She was so mean to me. When I put in my 2 weeks, she bought the rest of the team gifts except for me. So anyways, this was like right before I left. They're putting on this contest, and she tells us like a week before, and she wants it to go live. And like that place had very like not very popular like social media following, but the YouTube channel was really big. Anyways, and this was going to be like a video contest, and I was just like, here's all of the ways that this could go wrong. And then I ended up leaving before the contest was done, and then my coworkers were like, yeah, every single thing that you said was going to go wrong and that you pointed out did in fact go wrong. And then we had to deal with all these like issues because like one of the rules was like you can't have bots like view and like your video. And then the person who got the most views and likes, they were like, we think this is bots, so you're like, you don't count. And then people were pissed because they wanted the prizes that were like worth thousands of dollars.
Right.
So in conclusion, I was right, and I now have a job that I like.
Yay.
And my old boss's boss got fired.
Wow. I think for me, like, there have been a lot of times where I'm trying to tell someone something and they feel the need to fact check me and like Google it. Or if I say that I don't know something and then, I don't know, I get really irritated, or I say something and then someone feels the need to fact check me because they want to prove me wrong. Like that really irks me.
And then when they're like, oh, actually, no, wait. So now I hear what you're saying. And they act like they didn't understand you.
Yes.
So that they don't have to admit that they were just fucking wrong.
Right. Or also like when I'm troubleshooting something and I explain the things that I've already done, and then they want to do it themselves because if they do the same thing and get it wrong, then it's real.
Yeah.
That grinds my gears.
Yeah, it's like, well, we get to a productive solution so much faster if you just fucking listen to me and the fact that I already did that.
Yeah.
Or like when you're like, oh, XYZ isn't working. It's like, oh, my computer isn't working. Did you try turning it off and on again? It's like, that's the most basic fucking advice. Like that, of course, I, an intelligent person, tried the basic solution before saying that I needed help because I would rather die than ask for help. So if I'm asking for help, it's dire. Yep. Just kidding. That's only my personal life. My professional life, I be asking questions constantly.
Well, that's that, isn't it?
And that's all the female rage that we got time for today.
Wow, we did it.
We
raged.
We raged.
We
this
raged
is a continuation of our Smash Room adventure.
Oh yeah, we've just been raging
this
for
is
weeks
the intellectual
now.
version. I've been raging since I made my female rage the musical.
You're doing great today.
I wish that I knew how to fucking talk.
It's all good.
My female rage the musical playlist, and then I spent like a month listening to only that, and then I was like, this one day I was just like, I'm so mad, and I was like, what if I listen to songs that aren't just fucking mad?
What if? I don't know.
What if I stop listening to Who's Afraid of Little Old Me on repeat?
Yeah, but why would you do that? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I really just scraped you a lot.
That was ouchy.
I'm so sorry. I got really, really excited.
Can't believe we've done this.
I'm sorry. Wow. Okay.
Do you want to see the weird bruise I found this morning?
Oh gosh.
I don't know where it came from.
My ears hurt.
It's on my arm.
Oh,
look at it.
Oh,
I don't know
weird.
where it came from.
The arrow is going right into the bruise.
Arrow to bruise.
Interesting.
The arrow to bruise pipeline has never been shorter.
Oh man. I had a random bruise on my arm
Is this
too.
payback for Spear?
Yeah, I was just about to say I got it. Well, marked from Spear. At least yours isn't bleeding. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want more content, we always post clips and fun little things on our stories on Instagram at Swiftlore Pod.
And on our TikTok at Swiftlore Pod.
And if you want to leave us little 5-star reviews on Apple, Spotify now has a commenting feature. They just changed the whole thing. So like new ways to interact with us, and that is all free. Or if you want to subscribe to our Patreon, we've got even more cool stuff in there. I think it's very worth it, but you know, you can see for yourself. Like the lowest tier is $3, which is like a cup of coffee, and you get access to all of our notes from every episode. And like I know that there's always the group chat and like little announcements and stuff first. Yeah, so lots of good stuff on there. You can always look at the Patreon and see what there is to offer, and you'll see little previews of the stuff and just see if it's your thing. We'd love to have you there and talk to you more. Lots of good ways to interact with us. Keep in touch about what we're going to do for our hangout. And I think that's the whole spiel.
I like that you dropped your phone. You just kept going.
Well, I don't have time. It's late. I gotta pack.
Oh, fair enough. All right. Well, yeah,
That's
it.
Yeah.
So, crispy high five.
Let's high five crisply. Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone. Go Rage.
Bye.
Just want to shout out again our Swiftest tier patrons. So Ashley, Sassy Seppi, M, Tracy, thank you again so much for subscribing to our Patreon. Truly means the world to us. Can't wait to keep doing shenanigan things. That makes it sound weird. Anyway, thank you.
What's the orange button?
Oh, it's the smooth jazz.
Oh.
It's this.
No one likes a mad woman.
Why is it kind of
a shame she went mad? That's an example of a woman going mad.